Welcome to the table Unison Gamers and Brawlers. That's right, today we're doing something a little different.
And now for something completely different.
That's right, I have with me some Bakugan Battle Planet. Those are the booster packs. And we got this big ol' starter set. We have a lot of members who are excited to learn how to play Bakugan. Bakugan's been out for a little bit now. I believe we have 4 sets. And Bakugan, much like cartoons in the 80s, is a toy meant to promote a show, or maybe the show promotes the toy. But regardless, I would consider these toys. Now, with that being said, I don't want to cheapen the fact and say that this is for kids, because there's actually a lot of strategy, and like I showed you here, we've got booster packs. This is how they come. There's a booster pack inside of here. These look similar to if you guys ever go to like a, big store like a Target or something like that. They kind of come in these like single sleeves. That's how they come. That is the first set, I believe, called Battle Brawlers. We are now on Armored Elite, and I believe there's a new set coming out very shortly. But anyway, Bakugan. Bakugan, at least to me, is a game of skill.
Nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills,
and deck building. That's super exciting because people like to customize their decks, and there's a little bit of actual physical skill to this game in that you have to roll. I'll kind of show it up to the camera here. You've got to roll these little balls onto a field to activate your cards, activate their abilities, and to actually damage and hopefully defeat your opponent. So in this video today, we are going to open up this starter, open up some of these packs, get an idea of what we're dealing with, look at some of how this is made. This is the contents of this specific starter. When you buy these starters, they come with all sorts of different Bakugan that are available. This one I know has a Howlkor Ultra. But yeah, let's open up what we're looking at here. And if we have time in this video, and if not, we will do another video that specifically talks about how to actually play the game, what the cards do, what they mean, and what these little things down here called Bakukors are. Let's look down. All right, guys. Did that tree move? Anyway, so we are here at the table. Let me not distract you with my flesh and blood mat here. We'll do a nice black back here. And got a couple packs, which we'll go over after we get kind of an idea of the starter. So let's just crack this thing open.
what's in the box?
Got some plastic packaging here. All right, this guy just pops right out. Looks like we got the rule book and 40 card deck, I believe it said in the back. Here are the Bakukors. Bakukors have a piece of metal inside. Looks like I got 3 shields and 3 green fists. These are kind of the types of Bakugan that you're using. These have a magnet inside that activates the Bakugan. Let's see if we can kind of show that off right here. So here's the little guys right here. So wherever that magnet is, when he rolls over, there he goes. And he expands. So this is like a cool looking dragon here. That's nice. It's got a printed B power of 100. But yeah, so the internal magnet is kind of what transforms these things. So that's that guy right there. I guess while we're at it, we might as well pop this one too. There we go. Ooh, that one's cool. Just looking for a hug. All right. That guy's cool. They got a big tail and everything. These are the ones I believe they call Ultra. Let's see if I could figure out how to transform this guy or put this guy back in ball form. Oh, I'm figuring it out. All right, here we go. So this kind of like goes back that way. All right, I dig it. Does this go in or does this come? No, it goes in. All right, so we're going to tuck both legs. And I assume that there's instructions on how to do this, but I'm just seeing if I know how to transform like the good old days. And then maybe the tail is what keeps it all together. Oh, cool. All right. So that's a neat mechanic. Now, obviously, we need to go. There we go. All right. So we got this little grid here. This is what you would create in the beginning of the game called a hide matrix. These guys also have a little arrow right here, kind of giving you a direction of where the magnet is, maybe which way to roll it. So if this guy was coming, whoa, that's cool. Now the Bakukors on the side that you don't see, they have abilities or additions to the power of your Bakugan. And that's kind of what you're doing. What you just saw me do there is you're trying to hit these, and when you're placing yours, you kind of got to keep track of like which ones are which and whether or not you want a certain one. So something like this will increase your power, and depending on your faction, which we'll get into, it'll increase your damage as well. So if this guy is this faction, maybe I put it here, and then when I go to roll him, I'm kind of gunning right for that one, you know? All right, Bakukors, put those guys aside. There it is. Boom. That was a good shot. All right, little dragon guy. You're going to go over here. And this guy is going to go here. Sorry to those Bakugan veterans. I don't know all the names yet. Let's get into the cards for Bakugan. So this game used to just be rolling the... and I guess you could still play this way, but was rolling the Bakugan against each other and kind of comparing values, and then that's it. Got a rule book. What do we got here? This is... oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. All right. So did we do it right? I put this guy back together. Yep. Okay, so tuck the front, tuck the back, push forward. Oh, yeah. I did it right. We got there. Ooh, a little checklist. All right, let's check some of these out. See if what next one. I like that Batrix. That guy looks cool. Right there. Yeah, that's neat. What I was referencing, that each Bakugan is also part of a faction. So these are the different factions here. Aquos, Darkus, Chaos, Pyrus, Ventus, and Aurelis, which I guess is rare, it says. Diamond is super rare. Okay. So I guess you can get different versions. That's what this little checklist is. You can get different versions. So we have this guy, Howlkor Ultra of the Aquos. And obviously this is a lot of stuff they probably talk about in the anime. Okay, so that's our little checklist. Again, we're just going over what's coming in these starters. And then here's our cards. So before we get into the actual deck, this is your 40 card deck that you need to play the game. You have these three, what they call character cards. So these are the three Bakugan that came with this set. So these are the character cards. This is Cimoga. Our big guy was the Howlkor Ultra. Little three-headed Cerebus kind of thing. Now this guy, 100's not that high, but he does 10 damage. With that being said, let's go over the stats on a character card. So first things first, the top left is their faction. We just went over those. This guy looks like he's part of the Darkus faction. The next part is the name, obviously, Auxillataur. And the top right is the Bakukors that you have to bring to the battle when you play this character. So if we were playing these three guys out of the starter, you have to bring 6 Bakukors. So it looks like we need 3 green fists and 3 shields, and that's why we have... Oh, give me that. That's why we have the ones that we do. Now, these aren't set. So you might want to get ones that really add to the bottom. So like this guy does a lot of damage. Maybe we want to add to that B power between cards in our hand or even Bakukors. Or you could play a more defensive deck where you have a lot of trap stuff, where you minuses and you put those on your opponent's side. So it's kind of whatever strategy you want. And that's where I say it's different than just a kid's game, is that you really could put a lot of strategy into it. I feel like some of the best games are the ones that are simple to learn, but have some underlying strategy. Continuing looking at Auxillataur, probably. We did the Bakukors that you have to bring to the battle. You also have in the bottom left your B power. The B power is what you compare when you brawl. Bottom right is the damage that you're going to do when you get declared the victor. The victor is the person who wins that brawl. So, and by person, I mean character card. So if he were to win versus whoever he's up against, hey buddy, he's going to do 10 damage. This game uses your deck as a resource, a life resource. Pokemon has prize cards. Magic has 20 health, obviously. You use your deck. So when you take 10 damage from this guy, you flip 10 cards off the top of your deck and essentially mill yourself. That's a common terminology, meaning losing your cards. When you have no more cards left and then some damage comes through, you will lose. This guy has nothing in his text box. Every now and again, there will be something in the text box which is referenced as an ability. So like Cimoga here, this is telling you that if he picks up a shield, Bakukor, he'll get plus 300 B power, brings him to 1,000, and he'll get 4 more damage. That's pretty nuts. So it doesn't matter what's on the backside, but if he picks this up, that's his ability. So that's really good. That is the character cards. This one doesn't really matter down here. This is just the set that it came out of. And I don't know these sets off the top of my head, so sorry for that. But those are character cards. The big thing you'll also notice is the back of the card. This is to help you so you don't go shuffling these into your actual deck. The character cards have a different back. Let's get into the 40 card deck that they have here. Much like the character cards, you have your name of the card in the top left corner. For those of you that are familiar with deck building or trading card games, you can have maximum of 3 of the same card with the same name and effect in your deck. The other most important piece of information is the energy cost on top. Bakugan's a little unique in that both players take their turn at the same time. We'll get into it a little bit more in the Learn to Play, where Michael, Sean, and I will actually be going against each other. And we'll address it there, but both players go at the same time. Whoever won the last brawl will have priority, but you guys go back and forth. So when it is your priority or your turn to do something, you have the ability to play a action. With that being said, top right is energy. Once per turn, the way that you produce energy in this game is that from your hand, whatever's in your hand, you can take a card face down, which puts this card into play. And if it's right up, it is charged. When you use it, it is now uncharged. And that's how you use energy. So Baku Spring here, if you want to do an action, let's say this little guy right here popped open. And we know by looking at his character card, I'll reach over here, that he has 100 B power. And we definitely want him to win because he's got 10. We could, for 1 energy, here's our energy here. We would turn it sideways, say playing Baku Spring, and this would give him Shadow Strike, and I would draw a card. Give you a better example here. This Darku Slayer would add 200 B power and 2 damage to him. We have not calculated damage yet, but if we're comparing B values to determine who's the victor, this would give us a 300 B power character. If for some reason we won, we would end up doing now 10 plus 2, 12 damage to our opponent. And it's a 40 card deck, so that's a good hit. Those are Baku actions. really self-explanatory. The only other piece of information that you might want to know is in the bottom here, this rarity. CO is common. I've got a rare here, RA, which also when you get a rare, and I don't know if we can pick this up yet, you can kind of see it right there. This text box is textured, which is kind of neat. So, and also the name, so you can kind of see that sheen and how it's raised. But yeah, so this is textured on the rare, as well as the card type. That is a rare. Beyond that, you have super rares, which down here, and you've got this kind of like copper color. Same deal. It is textured. And then you also have what I believe they call awesome rares.
Everything is awesome.
Don't quote me on that, but we're going to go with awesome rares. Let me see if I have one here. There we go. This Baku Spy. So it looks like it has a kind of like a rainbowy border. Same thing with the raised. That's more of like a foiling on the name and the type. And then you got the AR. And then last but not least, in the packs at least, you have what they call hex rarity. And these kind of have a special foiling process that I'm sure all you guys are kind of familiar with. But these look super cool. A lot of them will kind of break the frame of the card. And that's kind of like the highest rarity right there. You get these out of packs. Those are action cards. Beyond that, and that you guys saw as one of my super rares here, we have heroes. Here's a hero. His name is C. Much like your action cards, you can play these when you have priority. To get this guy out, there's the name. How much energy? Same thing. You're going to uncharge 2 energy. This guy will go out and play. So whereas an action that you play goes into your discard pile because you've used it, a hero will go out into your field, usually by where your energy is or off to the side. So it's not in the way of the Bakugan. And this is typically going to have a text box that says when they activate, or maybe it augments all your turns. So this gives you Shadow Strike to all of your darkest Bakugan. Shadow Strike stops a Bakugan's B power or damage from being reduced. So once again, we'll go to our buddy here. If they had an ability or if they had an action card that lowered his damage output, which would be sad, if he had Shadow Strike, because C is in play, he would not be able to have it lowered. And obviously you guys can see that both of the factions match up. And if you deal 10 or more damage in an attack, you can draw 3 cards. And that is a super rare and again, a hero card. The next up card that I actually don't have one of is a Evo card. So I'll throw one up here on the screen. An Evo card is exactly what it sounds like. It's an evolution of a Bakugan that you have, or a base Bakugan. The card will show you right down here the base Bakugan that it evolves or goes on top of, and what you would do is you would take your base Bakugan, you'd put the Evo on top of it, and that would just change who you're now using. When it's played, it goes right on top of the card. Only the top most Evo card stats and abilities are counted for the Bakugan after you use an Evo card. Nothing underneath matters. Another interesting card that came out in the newer sets is what they call Baku Gear. Brutal Barrage is got the name up there. Now, here's a type, like every other card, it's a gear, and it has the darkest faction symbol. You need to have at least a Bakugan that is darkest, like this guy, in your deck, or that you're playing with, to include this card in your deck. It doesn't actually have to attach to a darkest character. It costs energy, just like any other card, and it augments your character in these ways. So some of it will give you abilities in here, or different abilities down here. So for argument's sake, we'll use the same guy. And you would kind of put it down like this when you played it and uncharged your energy. So you uncharged 3 energy, and it would give him 300 B power now, 100 plus 2. And he would do a whopping 12 damage. Now, when you play this one, it looks like when you play this, if no player has any cards in hand, if a player has no cards in hand, plus 500 B and plus 5 damage. Wow. So that is Baku Gear. And then the last card I want to touch on, and it is important, don't get me wrong, is what they call flip cards. You'll notice I'm holding them sideways because all of the other cards are vertical like this. The purpose of flip cards is that when you flip them, they might trigger an ability. So if your deck is like this, and we've already talked about taking damage, when you take damage, this guy's going to hit us for 10. When we go to flip cards off of our deck for damage, it's going to be 10 cards. So we would go
1, 2, 3.
For flip card, stop. So we would look at this card because we might have an option here. Obscuring Evade. So a lot of these cards will have a symbol down here with a big old hand. You guessed it. Stop. This costs 0. So this stops Darkus or Aquos. So if you're playing against either of those Bakugan and they're the one dealing you damage, like in this case, if this was your opponent and he's going to deal 10 damage, well, after I've taken 1, 2, 3, I could pay 0 and stop the rest of that damage. So flip cards are great. They have no other purpose. If you were to draw this in your opening hand, they don't do anything. So these make great energy cards to put down so that you have a charged energy and then you can use it for other cards. So there's a lot of people who will keep their energy open because if they do take damage, they want to be able to use some of these things. There's a lot of cool ones. A lot of them, like this card here, Obscuring Evade, stops specific factions from doing more damage. And when we get into the Learn to Play and talk about team attacks and you've got like 20 damage coming at you, these things are great. Those are flip cards. So guys, that is the starter deck. As a little bonus here, maybe we will open up one of these booster packs. But that is the starter deck. Let's open up this pack. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, these things are like Fort Knox. So while I struggle with this pack, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe, especially if you're looking for more Bakugan content, because we've got a ton coming. We've got more packs coming in. We've got more starters coming in. Let's take a look. 10 Bakugan cards. Looks like there's an app, which I have not downloaded, so I'll have to check that out. Nothing else crazy here. I do see a little tear, so that's not what I'm used to, but all right. And let's see what we get. So we're probably going to see some maybe different factions, which would be kind of neat. If I get anything strong, maybe we can sub the Snake Boy out here, but let's look. So again, bottom right is your rarity, so maybe we can kind of count together. Here is a Chaos, a Stoic Shot. That's a big old Pegasus. That's cool. Action just lets you draw a card. Domination. If your Bakugan holds the most Bakukors, draw 2 cards instead. That's really neat. All right, that is a common for Chaos. Super Shot, which is a common for Chaos again. 300 B power addition for 1. That's not bad, especially on like the first turn. All right. Chaotic Darkness. Choose a player to discard a card. Ooh, I like that. And we already have Darkus, so that would be cool. Dream Illusion. All right. I'm thinking I have to find a Chaos guy. Plus 1100. That's nuts. And guys, remember, you don't have to put this on a Chaos guy. So 1200 right here to do 10 damage. I'll take it. Costs 5 energy, but Fragile to Light. All right. So minus 5 damage to a non-Chaos Bakugan. That's cool. You lose, but you pay 2 energy. And, you know, if they have anything less than 5, they do no damage. Don't even have to get the flip cards. That is a common. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commons. Looks like 6th common. Wow, gives you +9 damage. Okay, Fangzor. Now this is an Evo card. Very cool. So we got one, guys. So Fangzor, Pyrus, Diamond, I thought we saw was a super rare. Interesting. So I wonder if it's a rare card, but the Diamond Fangzor, that could be a super rare Bakugan. So it would cost 6. You have to have the original Fangzor. Changes his B power to 1200 and 6 damage. That seems pretty cool. We'll have to get a normal Fangzor and just see how it upgrades. Barbacuzo, that name sounds familiar, so I'm guessing that's one of the main characters in the anime. Fury, at the end of the turn, if you have no cards in hand, draw a card. Well, that's not bad. All right, cool hero. That is another rare. So we got 2 rares. Here's our super rare, which is another hero. This is an Aquos, so maybe we could put this in our deck. When you select a Bakugan and roll, you may turn a Bakugan on the field face up. Oh, very cool. So now you got to pay attention to kind of which ones you put down and which ones your opponent puts down. And maybe you want to flip that up. Is that a trap, Bakugan? It is. Oh, I'm going to avoid that one. I guess I'll have to work on my aim. That seems really good. And our last is one of those Hex cards. Very cool. Just for 0. And look at that foil, guys. I mean, we obviously do a lot of pack openings and foils and stuff on camera. And not many of them you can really see this well. This is really cool. And that's some cool art, too. That looks like a Fangzor. And this is just a action. Doesn't cost anything. -3 damage. That seems good. Very cool. Now, I'm guessing down here, common, battle, brawlers, hex. So it's a common, and that's the set. All right, guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for this game? Is this the first time that you've ever seen it? You know, because again, I've probably as guilty as you. I've walked by it, you know, in the Walmarts of the world and didn't think that it was anything beyond a toy. But it seems like there's a good amount of strategy to be had within the actual game. So make sure you like and subscribe. This is David with Unison Games. We will see you back at the table.